Okay, we are live this morning. This is your Senate Transportation Committee, and it is Wednesday morning, February 2nd. Oh, the 23rd. Oh, 23rd. Okay. All right, our first item this morning is Mark Nicholson. You're joining us. Would you join us this morning? And you're a new appointment to the T-Board. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's tell us a little something about yourself and how you'd like to serve.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Briefly, I grew up a mile from here, Mount Bayard, and spent much of my adult life in Barrie and now live in Danville. I had a construction-related business, Nikon Coatings, that I ran for 41 years, and I sold it this past March. I have a little time. I have some experience with AOT and with some contractors. I was past president of Associated General Contractors, which you guys
You worked with
deal
Wabi?
with. Yeah.
You worked with Wabi?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
You deserve it.
I followed the
Good
government as the president of the agency. I've served on a few boards, probably one board that would be similar to quasi judicial. I was chairman of the Barrie Town Design Review Board for about 20 years. That's about it. Like I said, there's some time I have additional experience in building and running things. And I'd like to give my time.
Yeah, well, T-Board is a very interesting board. We don't interact a lot with them. We used to more so than we do now, but I don't know who the chair is now. Who's the chair of the T-Board?
David Cohen.
Okay, Dave Cohen. Yeah.
And John Zacconi is executive director.
Oh, John Zacconi, that's right.
He's with the Lemon Law too. He does both.
Okay. I was trying to think of his name yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, he handles both.
Yeah, I
Lemon
have
Law.
one of the local select board members, Pam Belanger. She's on the board. Board. So how often they meet?
So it's as needed, and I think thanks to Secretary Flynn, it's a lot less. Because
Okay.
they take care of the little squabbles along the way, as I understand it.
Right.
Like say some of this small court claims and some things that should just be taken care of. I think under his guidance, it's taken care of. So the T-Board is seeing less activity, more, I think, railroad crossing activities.
Okay.
It's probably one of the bigger things.
Does the Lemon Law come under that?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. There's that Lemon Law. That's people aren't happy with it.
With the autos, yeah, but I think it's, so John Zacconi, who's the executive director of the T-Board, he also is, I'm not sure his title, coordinates the Lemon Law board, but I
Okay.
don't think that we interacting very much unless it came to that level.
Questions from the board? Committee.
So the T-Board is a board that's in between the complainant and the state. It's a board to have some a mediation board as much as anything to try to get both sides to figure out their differences.
Correct.
It's like the Human Services Board, where someone has a grievance against the agency, and it's an independent opportunity to hear the complaint and hopefully resolve it one way or the other. And sometimes you'd agree with AOT that their decision was correct, and sometimes it would be the citizen who's going to complain.
I think the Vermont Supreme Court is the next level,
Yeah.
so hopefully it stops here.
That's
The
right.
one that we're looking at now is like railroad crossing is a big one, and a lot of them were grandfathered for the farms. And so if you're closing them down, is there other,
At what point does a ag crossing become a personal, private
Right,
crossing?
exactly, yeah,
And
that's probably
You
one
have
of
one
the things
Jake, we were
now.
talking about the other day.
well, because the law is very different. If it's a private crossing, then the owner is responsible for the maintenance and the liability. If it's an ag crossing, then that cost and liability falls to the railroad operator.
So you buy yourself.
And so, as I said the other day, a lot of the land, particularly along Route 5, that's between Route 5, the track, beautiful meadows, and then the Connecticut River. And so as ag land might have been sold, people don't know that that crossing then no longer is an ag crossing and becomes their responsibility. So I suspect that,
And we have just one of those at Route 5 in Hartford right now,
yeah,
and there's a crossing nearby. So, you know, is it fair to say, okay, we're not gonna have that one, we're gonna, everybody use this one?
So what's the definition of an ag crossing? You have to have cows, or you have to have chickens, or you have.
you know, you have, yeah, well, you have to have, it could be crop production as well, because you've got cornfields,
That's a
you've got
broad area.
pumpkins and so forth. So you have to demonstrate that you've got, you know, a business. I don't think a personal garden's gonna meet the test.
Right.
Is that for me? Is it a love note? I don't know.
I never seen yesterday,
No, it's not.
Brian Collmore, he must have got 100 of them yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Afternoon.
He called everyone back.
Oh, my God.
And of course, the rail operator wants to minimize the crossings because of the, obviously, crossings represent great risk and danger, so.
Exactly.
And
And I think some of it with the maintenance, so that they own the maintenance, as you say, if it's the ag crossing, but sometimes through other road construction activities, it becomes less safe because of grades and whatnot. So they have to sort of stay on that as they go.
No?
You answered it, but you're, in a way, your transportation board exists to keep things out of the courts, right? So, and that, but the appeal for you, if they don't like your decision, is right to the Supreme Court of Vermont?
It is, yeah, I think that's the next stop.
it's analogous to the Human Services Board. So
I know you
Which
would-
also nobody knows about.
I know about it.
Well, I know, but you know,
I never heard of it.
Never, any agency, any decision made by the agency is subject to appeal. And could be around benefits, it could be around, I don't know, whether you're on the child abuse registry, et cetera. And the next, it's an administrative appeal, hopefully to resolve issues before it has to would go up to the. Yeah, that's the way it's set, because it's kind of a quasi judicial function.
Senator Harris is also on transportation.
Well, no other questions. I thank you very much for offering to serve on the board. We always looking for good folks, and yes, go ahead.
Like, how did you get appointed, or what, you know, what bad deed did you do?
The thing, he's looking for the money.
I've known the governor for a long time, like I say, probably since maybe high school time, and then we were in construction. We were
Right.
both
Oh, that's
members of
right.
the Associated General
Right, that all
Contractors.
makes sense now, yeah.
And I served on the board with him, and also past president. So
Right.
that relationship, and then the fact that he probably thought that I have experience with AOT, but I'm retired, so I'm removed from that, that I would be a good voice for them.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So I think that was
You said you live in Danville. Do you know any problematic residents in the downtown area?
It's a great place to be. Dan.
You know the senator from that area?
The senator has a brother and sister that fed me a lot.
Yeah, Marty will take your money any way you want to give it to him. And he's got lots of ways.
He's there just for the public, help him out.
Small town, but a great town. Yeah. it is.
Well, thank you again for coming.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very much. Jason Seacard is around here. Mark, Jason Seacard, JP Construction is
Yeah.
around here. Did you see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to send them in?
No, he said, yeah.
You want me to straighten them out? Okay, all right, can have it.
Already there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody.
Yeah, I'm all ready to go. You guys are all ready to go. Gonna vote on Mark Nicholson, Senator Perchlik. Yes. Senator Kitchell,
Yes.
Senator Chittenden.
Aye.
Russ says aye, and Senator Mazza.
Yes.
So, yep, so that passes unanimously.
That's one that just goes under.
This goes on notice, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just take it up and see what they want me to do.
Not like
And,
judge. Okay, we're a little early on the next one. Anthea, not here yet.
I could show you
Yes,
that language.
Okay.
I emailed it.
got some new language.
Mike, I emailed it to you, could you print it out? motorcycle muffler.
And has DMV seen it? And DMV likes it? What?
We're supportive.
Oh.
Because it's in line with national and what other states do.
What's it basically, give us a little,
Basically says when you get your motorcycle inspected, they have to have, the muffler has to have this stamp on it showing that it's,
so
the muffler meets
when
these
you,
standards.
when you inspect a motorcycle, they get a sticker for the windshield too, or they,
There used to be one on the,
It was on the, I don't know what it's called, fork.
okay, so there is a sticker that they have to,
is it gonna be the yellow, same thing?
Yes.
Is it?
I think they are yellow, yes.
Because they used to have the numbers just like cars, right?
so you have to go to, you can't go to inspection station with a motorcycle, right, or can you?
Yes.
Or you don't go back to motorcycle shop.
Well, I think some regular inspection stations do motorcycles too. Most people probably do go to a motorcycle shop.
It's a whole different set of rules, but you gotta figure out how to inspect them. It's just, I never thought about that, but that's, they pay the same thing for inspection, I wonder.
Cynthia, you must have heard we were.
Yeah.
Do you want to start now or do you want to?
Sure, we're ready. If we have to lock out at 9:30, whatever that.
Well, we have to leave it.
No, we're locked down,
Oh,
active shooter drill.
well,
Grab your staplers, get ready.
Yep.
I'm counting on you.
That's why we put the big guy by the door.
Yeah, he's a bigger target. We're behind you.
No, we're 100% behind you.
Okay, good.
You're our man.
All right.
That's total commitment. Thank you.
He used to be an awesome stuff.
Back when you had your Cavalier. Drove your Cavalier to your bouncer job?
The Millennium, yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm just waiting for you to let me in.
It's a nice Cavalier. Sport.
I'll leave it.
Another topic I was gonna raise yesterday, but we were compressed on time. I don't know if you've ever had Greyhound in before, but we've had Amtrak in, and I'm hearing Burlington residents, my constituents, where they just, Greyhound is finding a good place to work with some of the public infrastructure of Green Mountain Transit. Would you, I'd love to know if you've ever had Greyhound in before, if you'd like to hear from them.
They still do.
And
We
right now,
need
they
this definition.
have bus stops where people can
Only,
go.
only at the,
Like the state highway and the town highway part helps, but you
Yeah,
probably
so
could get rid of it and
it's
be
not
just.
happening. I don't know, it's.
I don't
It
know.
did feel a little
They said they stopped
excessive.
I just didn't, well, yeah, if it doesn't,
So just love to know if I
We'll
could.
bring it up.
And I took out that,
Well,
the repeat of the A that you had.
did you get this too
It's up to you.
from the city of Barry?
Oh, yeah, I got that. Everybody got that letter.
I got one from the city.
I think I got Barry.
What issue is it?
It's about,
This one?
cut back to, yes,
Right, so it's you.
city of Barry's expectations of bus service.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Oh, I
Yes,
didn't
from the
know
mayor,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, from-
from here, yeah, I did.
Okay, and hey, where are we, where do we leave off?
I think you're almost done.
Almost done.
You're almost done. You've got draft 5.1, and then you have language that I think Senator Fritz wants you to look at. And
Do we have a copy of the new draft?
it's printing now.
It's ready. Oh,
I don't need the whole thing again, but. Oh,
That's just at the bottom of the motorcycle.
oh, okay.
I can put up the motorcycle language
Okay.
first.
I
too.
have a motorcycle in 2 months.
oh, and I did get, email back from my RPC around the speed limit, and they felt that that made sense, so.
What you call this one?
I used to work at noise pollution clearinghouse, believe it or not, and back along with my second job in Vermont. And so I talked to the guy, I said, what do other states do? He said, this is language that other states have done.
Muffler bearing U.S. Environmental Protection Agency required label. Is that tough to get or?
No, it comes.
So just basically when they make them at the factory, they make that stamp. So if there's not a stamp, it means somebody took off the factory muffler and put on it.
Oh, they change.
Yeah. to make it out.
So that stamp have to be on there at inspection?
Yeah.
Which is what we did for the snowmobiles, same stamp. only for that.
I just wonder, because snowmobiles don't change the exhaust very often, I wonder if the aftermarkets actually come through with that stamp as well? Or do they have to go with original parts?
I'm assuming you could buy an aftermarket stamped muffler. That would
Catalytic converter on a motorcycle?
No, they don't have. So this would just say you're not going to get inspected if you don't have that stamp. And you could do it, and maybe there's aftermarket stamped ones, but the stamp just shows you that it's.
Are the dealers,
Meeting the rate.
all right with this, you think, the motorcycle dealer?
I have not talked to the motorcycle dealers, only to DMV. And
I just wanna-
when Director Fakos responded, he gave me some information, like he said that there are like the Screaming Eagle Harley Davidson, he showed me a picture. He said that his motorcycle has it on it, like, he didn't make it seem like it was a big issue, because that's the way they come when you buy them new. But it would prevent somebody from cutting out that one and putting on one that's just to be loud, which some people do.
What's your thought, Mike?
Probably Google it to see if they exist. We are supportive of the language as written from the department statement.
Some of them can be incredibly loud.
Yeah, no, I think it is a safety thing if it's so loud, I've seen when they go by sometimes also, when we go in the summer in New Hampshire, people are walking by and they're so startled, they like almost fall over, they're so loud.
This doesn't make it illegal to drive a bike with it, it just can't pass inspection, right?
No, this is saying that under the statute that says condition of vehicle, excessive noise, good mechanical condition, existing law, a motor vehicle operated on any state or town highway shall be in good mechanical condition and shall be properly equipped. And then specific to motorcycles, a motorcycle that's being driven on the road needs to have this stamp. I will say that, and you'll see this at the end, as set out in 40 CFR Part 205 subparts D and E. It's my understanding that these stamps are already required of motorcycles, and from like larger trucks, it's just not personal cars that have a federal requirement for the muffler stamping. The DMV would have like a better idea on that.
There's still many people out there that are changing their mufflers on their pickup trucks to make them louder, boy, some of those are very, very loud. Wow. Yes, go ahead.
So Google's my friend. I did find that these provisions apply to motorcycle replacement exhaust systems manufactured after January 1st, 1983. They're designed and marketed for use on motorcycles. So it sounds like that state is on aftermarket.
I think it's part of that EPA regulation.
Okay, I guess we're all right. Okay, good with that one. All right, take care of that.
Okay, so you will see this added in draft 6.1, but I'm just going to go through 5.1 first because it has the changes from yesterday highlighted. So that is the one that Mike had printed and that is posted to your committee page. This is also the one I sent out yesterday at the end of the day. I'm just going to tell you what the changes are. They're all highlighted. So on page 1, because you added in language from Senator Kitchell's proposals related to speed limits and snowmobiles, I added those as subjects. I did not add an additional subject for your proposed language because it was just changing the grace period to show registration, and registration was already addressed here. You'll see that on line 4. On page 2, this is where you'll see that I am having section 3 adding the mobile identification language as section 116, so it'll come after the non-driver identification. The next changes that you'll see are going to be on pages 12 and 13. Sorry, I'm scrolling very quickly if anyone's getting dizzy. This is going to be the addition of Senator Chitten's proposal, and it's saying that an operator cited for violating subsection A, not carrying the proof of registration, whether in paper or electronic form, has that 7 days after the fact, 7 business days after the traffic stop, to show proof of a valid registration certificate that was in effect at the time of the traffic stop. And the only reason you have this language is just because you're making it a subdivision 2. Next changes are going to be on page 14. This is the addition of Senator Kitchell's language. The changes that you're going to see from yesterday, and this is hard to see, it's in the outreach campaign, but it's where the green is highlighted. I took out all of the references to signage. So the Agency of Transportation, in consultation with the League of Cities and Towns and the Regional Planning Commissions, needs to prepare materials disseminating information on the new statutory default speed limits for unposted and unpaved town highways in the section that's added above, not later than September 1, 2023. So the materials need to be prepared by September 1, 2023. The above section goes into effect on January 1 of 2024. And those materials need to go to municipalities, law enforcement, and the general public. At a minimum, the materials shall include what the new statutory default speed limit is and easy to understand, including pictures, description of what town highways the new statutory default speed limit applies to, feeling it's just pictures of dirt roads, and the effective date of section 17.
I'm sure it's fine, but when I read this, it says shall prepare materials disseminating information. Like the materials are disseminating, like it doesn't say they have to send the materials out.
You could say shall prepare materials disseminating information and provide them to, instead of to municipalities on line 17, you could say and provide that to, and provide that information to municipalities, law enforcement, and the general public.
Maybe it goes without saying it, and no. Since they're working with the League of Cities and Towns, but that's our intent. Maybe I'm just saying on the record that our intent is that they actually create this material and send it to the towns, but.
I can certainly add it on line 17 and provide to or send to.
Just to be clear.
That's going to be on page.
Is that like gratuitous language that we don't necessarily need to tell you for you to do reasonable things? You need to be told.
You tell us if he's a vice chair appropriations, you.
Are you offended if we do have language that tells you to do reasonable things?
Sometimes.
All right.
We want to tell you. At least we're not prescribing. It has to be on the radio, TV, internet, you know.
We do tell them it has to include pictures.
I know.
I didn't really understand, like, we would just have a picture of like, this is a road, in case you didn't know, but
I mean, it's just unpaved. I'm not sure you need a picture of an unpaved road.
I think if we say unpaved road,
That's good enough.
the agency of transportation will understand.
So the reason why I included it is because I've had questions sort of like internally with Ledge Council about different things about like hard surface, soft surface, gravel. And I mean, I think that the point that would be trying to be conveyed is paved roads have like the lines and they like are all flat and smooth, and unpaved are sort of the everything else is. But if you think it is excessive and just want to leave it to the Agency of Transportation to figure out the appropriate way to disseminate the information, then I would strike out an easy to understand description of what town highways.
I think we could delete these.
Okay.
I would say easy to understand, but we don't need to say including pictures.
We like pictures, of course.
We need them, but I don't think the towns and the DOT.
I know, I'm gonna be curious to see if they actually.
I'm sure each
I think they're gonna do
town
pictures.
foreman knows very well what's an unpaved road.
How many roads in
Yes.
back roads in Vermont are still really mud, in the old days are really.
Last year, they all were, all of them. They
Really?
were up to your rock, people were getting
There's
stuck.
still roads that, yeah.
I mean, all of
Last year,
them.
they were
just-
Last year, for some reason, the roads just collapsed and it had
There's
something
no
to do
frost
with,
this year, I don't think. there is.
well, I think it was
There
last
is.
year that was.
Last year was a perfect storm for muddy roads for sure.
I know, I took Nathaniel's four-wheel drive truck to get to my niece's birthday
Well,
party.
you're on the snowmobile council, you take your snowmobiles.
There was no snow on those trails. All right, so we're getting rid of pictures.
That's what I thought you got a free snowmobile.
I do.
The car.
I'm on transportation, I should get a free car too.
We're
that.
thinking about that,
For that.
we're trying to figure out where to put it.
So on page 26, the editors want to delete a comma and include or.
Oh, no, I want to spend a lot of time.
Draw the line there.
Yeah.
Just, I'm pointing it out, it's
Oh,
changed.
that's right, thank you, you're right on it.
Thank the editors.
Wait,
Um,
or both.
And
What is
yeah,
it?
it's,
What is it? Tolerance.
oh, that's gonna be a not me question.
You know what?
Sorry. see that.
It is.
Sit on the windowsill, there's some chairs here.
Thank you so much.
Your questions on tolerances?
Yeah, is that
So,
just,
The easiest way to explain it is you've got 1 inch, you can go a millimeter one way, millimeter the other, right? I'm sure there's tolerances built in for the weights.
I see. Right,
So just remember, we're gonna do spot.
right, I get it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, almost done. Next change is gonna be on page 40.
Yeah, I almost disagree.
So this is the addition of Senator Kitchell's language on carrying proof of liability for snowmobiles. No changes from yesterday.
Now she's active. Now you're active, so.
Right,
I will scroll slower.
All this, if it's highlighted, it's,
And just because you haven't seen it in this draft, but if there was a change from yesterday, like with the outreach language for the speed limits, I highlighted the changes in green just to show you that something had changed. This is more just so like the public, if they're looking at this, can see a change from draft 4.3 to 5.1. You all knew that this language was going to be added, you told me to.
and as far as changes to the statute, it's only the underline.
Only the underlined, correct. So yellow means new to the bill, underline means change to codified law.
are we doing anything that would be in session law,
With,
this bill, everything is,
no, there's some session law in here. Your report isn't, the report on the increasing the limits to 17,000 pounds in session law, giving the Department of Motor Vehicles the discretion with the modernization project to update their processes, that's session law. The outreach for speed limits is in session law. The required dissemination of information for the drawing the line in the sand for the total abstinence program, that's in session law. I think that's it.
And the limits as far as the limits of liability, that is standard, pretty much what the insurance companies want. That's standard liabilities or whatever.
I do not know, I can tell you that that's current law, nothing's being changed there.
Okay.
it's just that they can use
And
their,
we're just changing that they gotta carry proof of,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so you'll see on line 14 of what's up on the screen,
Yeah.
without carrying proof of, that's the only underlined part, that's the only change to it. And then the addition is this language that you're now seeing so many times talking about how if they show it on an electronic device, it doesn't give them consent to search the electronic device.
that's the part that's really.
And it's clear that it's you were pulled over, the definition of a traffic stop includes snowmobiles.
Yeah, I think it would be law enforcement, so, because probably it's not like a police officer that's necessarily gonna be pulling over.
It can be a game warden.
Yeah.
And sheriffs are also
Right.
under
They're
contract.
used to- We're using traffic stop, but I didn't know if that included snowmobiles.
Yes,
I think it would cover it. You could, if you wanted to, put in a definition for Title 23 of law enforcement officer. Don't think there is one. And then,
I know there's many towns that allow snowmobiles on highways. What, do they have to follow the same rules of a highway when they're on a highway? The town locally, they decide whether they want to allow. it.
Tell you,
Yeah.
just tell you as far as for what I know about snowmobilers and how fussy they are, is that they don't really like to go on any of the roads unless they can ride on the side of them, because they really are very concerned about their, well, they're concerned about their stuff wearing their metal off of their skis onto something that's gonna cause spark and friction. So they're not, for the most part, they're not going down the road, but they're going on the side. I don't think I answered your question, I just wanted to.
No, but
bring
there are
some more.
towns that allow snowmobiles to ride in with traffic. But don't you vote on that locally?
I don't know.
I know they allow
ATVs.
ATVs, they allow.
They can have lights.
Oh, ATVs, okay, not snow
ATVs,
machines.
right.
It's ATVs, snow machines tend to take the trails and
I can tell you.
try to minimize crossing.
Okay, I guess I was confused.
Thing from doing rentals as far as to snowmobilers and stuff like that. If they have to at all go on something that's gravel or anything that's gonna cause spark or friction, they don't want to stay in that area. They
Okay, so
want
it's
to have.
ATVs that they're allowed,
Yeah.
all right, I get it. Yes, sir.
Can you go back a page? You all know how to, it just seems, to Senator Engel's point, it seems less than good practice to have these hard-coded values in this statute if we also are establishing these minimums elsewhere. Don't we always want to write reference, the 25,000, 50,000?
So I do not know if the insurance requirements for snowmobiles are the same as the insurance requirements for cars. That would be in 23 VSA section 800 and the sections that come after it.
Do you see my point though? Like if we reference where it is established rather than.
I see your point that you might want to track them, but you also might not want to track them. And I don't know enough about insurance law or insurance requirements to say that making that change is a really bad idea.